I'm done.
You're done. Fine.
Okay.
Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do want to thank you, Chairman Pallone, Chairman Stupak, as well as the ranking members, Barton and Walden, for allowing us to have this markup today. And you indeed worked with myself and Mr. Barton to ensure that the oversight jurisdiction of this committee, did indeed matter. Mr. Chairman, I know that transparency is important to you. I hope ultimately we can pass this resolution on a bipartisan basis. Now, just to recapitulate, I wrote to the White House in September on this issue. I'll ask unanimous consent that that letter be made part of the record.
Without objection, that'll be the order.
My staff reached out to the White House. Mr. Chairman, you reached out to the White House on my behalf, and we got nothing. Finally, I was compelled to introduce the resolution of inquiry. Then yesterday at 2:20 p.m., 119 days after my letter, we did hear from the White House. What'd we get? We got logs that the press had a month ago. We got a series of public statements and press releases all printed off the White House website. Not one document that was not available to everyone. The White House thus claims to this committee that not one novel document, note, email, or call record exists regarding meetings with these major stakeholders. No one in this room believes that. The subject of this meeting is not the fact that the White House did not respond to my letter. The subject is the resolution of inquiry. If anyone on this committee doubts that there's not one scrap of physical or electronic information as requested by the resolution of inquiry dealing with any of the talks in the White House, then obviously you need to vote in favor of the resolution of inquiry. At these meetings, agreement was reached to save upwards of $2 trillion. $2 trillion, and we didn't write down a single word. It was all done on a handshake. Call them gentlemen's agreements, backroom deals, or power politics. We know they happened. What we don't know is who agreed to what with whom. On Monday, the president said, quote, "I didn't make a bunch of deals," close quote. This claim contradicts everything that has been reported because we all know somebody did. There is nothing inherently wrong with the president engaging on such important topics or encouraging groups to act in the best interest of the public. But we don't know if the deals struck were in the best interest of the public. Even worse, the deals circumvented the legislative process. The 6 groups named in the resolution were meeting at the White House at the very time this committee was marking up H.R. 3200. How could our markup be viewed with any integrity if the real deals were being cut down on the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue? Maybe this is how we got a new bill. Doubled in size, 2,000 pages from the 1,000 we sent out of here, but as Mr. Walden has pointed out, stripped of nearly all of the bipartisan work done by this committee, including, I might add, a landmark unanimous vote for patient protections offered by myself and Mr. Dingell based off the Norwood-Dingell Patient Bill of Rights. Now, I have to ask, was this a payoff to the insurance companies? Over in Senate Finance markup, Senator Nelson from Florida introduced an amendment regarding drug prices. Senator Carper, arguing against the amendment, said, whether you like pharma or not, we have a deal. In the same markup, the Senate Finance Committee endorsed a commission to slow Medicare spending. However, the bill had to be rescored and rewritten to exclude hospitals because, according to Congress Daily, quote, they already negotiated a cost-cutting agreement, close quote, with the White House. Finally, Senators Dorgan and McCain introduced a floor amendment on prescription drug reimportation. I don't support prescription drug reimportation. It's a bad idea, but they still should have had the ability to argue their point on policy. But according to The Hill, a deal between the White House and the pharmaceutical industry held up and defeated the amendment. Now, the press seems to know more than we do. The letter I received from the White House claims that much information has been released. Well, I want what hasn't been released, and I want the real details. Again, I don't support some of the policies that were promulgated on the Senate side, but I'm willing to debate anyone on my position and let the best policy win on its own merits. Allowing these deals to guide the legislative process is a dereliction of our responsibility of legislators and reflects poorly on this committee. In December, we had a hearing on price manipulation of pharmaceuticals. You had to wonder, was that all the product of secret negotiations? None of us know, and the American people deserve to know. These questions will continue hovering over this committee until we fill in some of this history. This is not about the groups named in the resolution. I don't blame them for advocating policies impacting their industry. Of course they're going to do that. I want to know what the White House negotiated with whom and on what terms. I want to know how those deals influenced the legislative process, and I want to know why a president who committed himself to transparency feels no need to heed the request of this committee. On January 31, 2008, the president promised, "That's what I will do, bringing all parties together, not negotiating behind closed doors." All of these will be up on C-SPAN. Earlier this week, the president said that his lack of transparency was a mistake. If true, he should correct the mistake by turning over the information requested. To fully understand the policy choices going forward, we need to know what took place at the White House during this past year. The American people expect us to act in their best interest rather than protecting business interests of those currying favor in Washington. If stakeholders sought protections or made unreciprocated concessions to Washington politicians, we all need to know. These negotiations may have produced consensus on policy changes that are proper and needed, but we can never be certain until all of the facts are known. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for your indulgence, and I will yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlemen, time has expired.